Hippity hippity hopping over hill and dale. Da 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 da. Hippity hopping along.
Got a great singing voice, doesn't he? President Obama is turning America's back on the moon. Instead, he wants NASA to focus on the future. It has been nearly 40 years since the last moonwalk. Now, after spending more than $9 billion on plans to return to the moon, NASA is putting that dream back on the shelf. President Obama wants to boost NASA's budget, he says, but none of the money would go to a moon mission. Instead, he wants the money spent on developing new technology. So let's talk about it with that astronaut you saw bouncing around there, Gene Cernan, the final astronaut to walk on the moon. Takes you back, doesn't it, Gene, watching those pictures?
Yeah, it sure does. You had to have a little fun while you were there, John.
I'm sure it was fun. I'm certainly envious. A lot of people are. But obviously, the president said, you know, these are lean times in this country. We've kind of already been there and done that. What do you think about the idea to cancel this moon program, the Orion program?
Well, yeah, I think I'm extremely disappointed, angry at a time or two. We talk about an investment in the future. He's taking that investment and put it on a shelf as far as I'm concerned. I don't care how people want to sugarcoat it. We are no longer a space exploration, a spacefaring nation. We are now put in a position of second place. And what we don't do today, I can promise you, someone else is going to do tomorrow. And I don't think the American people are going to like that.
Yeah, the Chinese are getting pretty aggressive with their efforts to get a manned moon mission underway, aren't they?
Well, I think they are. We hear they are, and I think we can expect almost anything. There's so many ramifications we're talking about $3 billion for a period in the next 5 years. We're talking about $100 billion to create jobs. Well, we're not only not creating jobs by taking that money away from NASA's Constellation program, we're removing the jobs that exist, and the jobs that could exist no longer are there. I just don't understand the logic behind it.
There isn't unanimity, though, in the astronaut corps about the wisdom of this decision. Let me read to you, and you've probably already heard it, what Buzz Aldrin had to say, the second man to walk on the moon. He said, "I wish to endorse strongly the president's new direction for NASA. The truth is that we have already been to the moon some 40 years ago. A near-term focus on lowering the cost of access to space and on developing key cutting-edge technologies to take us further faster is just what our nation needs to maintain its position as the leader in space exploration for the rest of this century." What do you say to that?
Well, Buzz and I have disagreed on a lot of things, and it's certainly that one. Although Buzz does want to go back to Mars, and I support that. But I believe we should do it in a logical stepping stone process. At the end of this year, the space shuttle is to be retired. And we have a space station. It's the only game in town. It's a scientific laboratory that yet has to produce the results that I think a lot of people said it would.
And we're not going to have any way to get there.
To that. No, you know, we're going to have to ask the Russians and pay them a significant amount of money without any competitors to get us back up to a space station that essentially was built with our dollars. You know, we talk about the private sector. I support the private sector. It's going to be 10 years before we can put humans in a private spacecraft to get us back into Earth orbit. And by that time, you know, the Russians and others are going to own the space station, do with it what they want. I think we've truly have relegated ourselves to almost a third world country in the world of space exploration.
Gene Cernan, the last man to walk on the moon. Good to talk to you. Thanks.
Well, John, can I just say one other real quick thing? You know, I'm not going to be there when we go back to the moon and on to Mars. And it may not be this president or those who follow who make it possible, but it's the people of this country who are going to determine where we go and what the future of this country is and what the opportunities are for our young kids and grandkids. And that's what's important to me.
Well, you just said it. Thanks, Gene.